Okay, so this is section 6.1. You're going to want to pause your video and record or write down your vocab. A couple of things. A radius is connecting to the center point of a circle. So I want you to add that this is halfway across the circle. So a radius is half of a circle, and then a diameter is connecting the 2 points on the circle and passes through the center. So this is all the way across the circle. Okay, so then the circumference is the distance around the circle, and the two formulas are circumference equals pi times diameter, and circumference equals 2 times pi times r. So that little symbol that looks like two T's is a pi. When I write it with my normal handwriting, it has more of like a squiggle line on top. When you type it out, it's usually more of a straight line on top. And then another formula you might want to write down or circle it or something is that the diameter is twice the radius. So whatever the radius is, the diameter is 2 times that. Okay, so we're going to be working with these formulas today with circumference and area of a circle, and I believe most of you have done some of these before. So this shouldn't be completely new to you. Numbers 1 and 2, you're finding the circumference of the circle both in terms of pi and to the nearest tenth, and we are using 3.14 for pi. Later, we will use the pi button on our calculator because that's more accurate, but right now we're using 3.14. So for the first problem, I have a circle with a radius of 4. So for my first circumference formula, I'm going to use 2 pi r. So 2 times pi times 4. And my first answer, I'm leaving that in terms of pi. So 2 times 4 is all I have to do first.
Which is 8.
Which is 8. So C equals 8 pi. And then I'm going to put my label. So this is centimeters. So 8 pi centimeters. So this is my first answer. And then my next answer is I'm replacing pi with 3.14. So C equals 8 times 3.14. And then I multiply that. So I'm going to multiply that and round to the nearest tenth. Yes.
25.12.
Okay, so 25.12, and then rounded to the tenth would be 25.1 centimeters would be my next answer. Okay, so number 2, a circle with a diameter of 4.5. So for this one, I'm going to use that pi times diameter. So pi times 4.5. My first answer needs to be left in terms of pi. So I'm just going to switch that around. So my first answer will be 4.5 pi inches. That's my answer in terms of pi. Okay, and then my second answer, I take pi and substitute 3.14. So 4.5 times 3.14.
I got 14.13, which would be
Whatever. I put a
14.1.
3.5 in one.
Okay, so 14.1 inches. Okay, so let's start number 3. So we have a radius of 4. So C equals 2 times pi times 4. What would be my circumference in terms of pi?
8.
8 pi m. Notice every time I'm writing C equals, that's standing for circumference. You want to make sure you get in the habit of labeling every time, like whatever it is, the formula that you're using. And then for the next one, I'm replacing pi with 3.14. So C would equal 25.1, which is the same exact as number 1. Okay, number 4, I have a diameter of 3.3. So C equals pi times 3.3, or C equals 3.3 pi feet. Whoa. And then I'm replacing pi with 3.14. So my circumference would equal
10.4.
10.4 feet. All right, so we are going to go through number 5 and 6. I would like you to try these on your own. Let me give you a couple minutes to do those. And then we'll go over them. So you might want to pause your video and try 5 and 6. All right, so for number 5, you should get C equals 15 pi feet. And then your answer to the nearest tenth would be 47.1 feet. And then for number 6, you should get C equals 10.4 pi inches. And C equals 32.7 inches. Yes. Okay, so the next thing we are going to look at is area. So you have another formula to write down area. Okay, so the area of a circle is pi r squared. There is no area formula that uses diameter. So sometimes you always have to start with a radius. So if you are given a diameter, to get the radius, you would take that and divide it by 2. So you might want to write down that formula for radius.
Why is that?
It just didn't copyright, or didn't. Sometimes that happens. Okay, so for number 7, we are finding the area to the nearest pi, in terms of pi and to the nearest tenth. And we are finding the area of a circle with a radius of 5 centimeters. So in this, instead of C equals this time, we're going to have A equals for area. So A equals pi r squared. So pi times 5 squared. So we're going to answer it in terms of pi first. So 5 squared is 25. So area equals 25 pi. And then our label would be centimeters squared, because area is always squared in the label. And then for the next answer to the nearest tenth, we're replacing 3.14 for pi. So area equals 25 times 3.14.
And that would equal 78.5.
Okay? So 78.5 centimeters squared. Okay, so for number 8, a circle with a diameter of 5.6 inches. So I have to do something here first before I start.
Find 5.6.
Find my radius. So 5.6 divided by 2. Not 5 point. Yes. What do you get for your radius?
2.8.
2.8. So area equals pi times 2.8 squared. So what is 2.8 squared?
7.8.
So 7.84 pi inches squared. And then 7.84 times 3.14. Rounded to the 10th. Okay, number 9 and 10, we're doing the same thing. So number 9, R equals 4IN. What does that all stand for?
Or the radius equals 4 inches.
The radius equals 4 inches. So area equals 2 times pi times 4 squared. Not 2 times pi.
I was going to say what? Yeah.
Okay, so then 4 squared would be 16. So my first answer is 16 pi inches squared. And then I'm going to take pi and substitute 3.14. So 16 times 3.14.
Equals 50.2.
50.2 inches squared.
Okay, number 10, I have D equals 3.3 m.
Yeah, to divide 3.3 by 2.
Divide 3.3 by 2. So my radius equals,
1.6, or you can bump it up to 1.7.
so I got 1.65.
No, I was
That's what I
wrong.
got.
Sorry.
Okay, so I would not try to round as much as possible. So then I have my area equals pi times 1.65 squared. Now this isn't going to be like a nice round number. You don't have to write everything down, but I wouldn't clear out your calculator. So take 1.65 squared, and I end up getting 2.7225.
That's what I got.
So you could write down 2.7 pi meters squared as your answer, but don't hit clear on your calculator, because then you're going to take that times 3.14. So it's really going to actually be 2.7225 times 3.14. I get 8.54,
86.
which would end up just being 8.5.
Why?
Where did it go?
Okay, so I want you guys to try 11 and 12. So you'll need to pause your video and do 11 and 12. Okay, so for number 11, your answer in terms of pi.
28.2.
I got 81 pi.
Oh,
Oh.
I got that too. I just did 9 times 9 because it's
81.
basically just multiplying by
I did that
by
for
itself that many times.
I did this.
Okay, so 81 pi feet squared should be your answer. And then you take 81 times 3.14 and you should get 254.3 feet squared.
Oh, you know,
I got it right now.
Okay, for number 12, starting off, you have to make it into a radius. So our radius would be 5. So the area would be 25 pi m squared. And then to the nearest tenth would be 78.5 m squared.
Okay, well, I was close. I was close on the second one.
Okay, so for your homework assignment, I want you to make sure you do a few things. So I want you to always be labeling like A equals or C equals. I want you to also label the correct measurement. So for example, feet or feet squared. And then I also want you to show your work. What?